Go to the Glasser guest line and check in with Henry Ettinger. Always great having Henry on the show. Make sure you guys are following him on X at hedging_Henry. You can check out his gambling content on TikTok, on X, and on IG as well. All right, Henry, we got Game 6 tonight, OKC, Indiana. Big storyline, obviously, is going to be the availability of Halliburton. He's questionable to play tonight. When you're dealing with these kind of things, right, kind of a star player, and we don't really know if he's going to play, how effective he's going to be, do you have any strategy, like, going into the game and how maybe you're going to handicap it from a gambling perspective?
Yeah, PJ, I think you have to, take into account, obviously, the injury and then look at, hey, what are the scenarios, right? And where is there a scenario where Halliburton plays where a player benefits and a situation where he doesn't play that benefits, right? Because I think that's, the two most likely options are he's going to be limited in some way or, not going to be able to play at all. But you do just have to be more cautious in general. That's the unfortunate part of the situation is if Tyrese Halliburton gets out, announced out tonight, that affects the betting lines massively. So you want to be a little bit careful not to go overboard, before we have definitive news one way or the other.
Do you see any value on any Halliburton props right now? Like, obviously, we don't know whether or not he's going to play. And like you said, we don't know if he's going to be effective, how many minutes he's going to play, if he does end up suiting up. But any props that you're targeting with him or maybe anybody else that you're looking at, like you were saying, if he plays, if he doesn't?
So with Halliburton, I'm not going to touch any of his lines just because I don't know exactly how healthy he is. He really could not go by people for large portions of the last game. So I don't want to touch his points lines or anything like that because they've been adjusted down already, right? The value there is gone. However, to your point about players that I would like to target instead, a guy like Benedict Mathurin is somebody that I want to look at because even with Halliburton playing but limited in the last game, we saw Mathurin's usage bump up quite a bit. He had 11 field goal attempts in that game and is definitely, part of the offense as a ball handler. And then when Halliburton's off the floor this season, he sees a massive spike in scoring and in usage. So that's a guy where in either scenario, I'm feeling pretty comfortable and he's got a lot of upside if Halliburton was ruled out, for example.
I like it. Mathurin's birthday tonight as well. So if you believe in that kind of thing, yes. Another good reason to back him. Anything on the Thunder side, Henry? Any props there that you like with OKC or just sticking with the Mathurin?
I have one on the OKC side as well. Chet Holmgren to record a double-double. Got that at plus money there, and I would still play it at any plus money spot that you can find it. Chet, his rebounding's gone way up as they've reintroduced the double big into this series. He's playing off the ball or off Miles Turner as much as possible, trying to be a weak side rebounder. Offensively, he's gotten the glass a fair amount as well. And I actually took his points plus rebounds in the last game, and he shot 4 for 15. It didn't go over, and the book still moved his line up there. So that's how they anticipate him having considerable volume in terms of shooting as well on the offensive end as increased attention continues to go to SGA in the pick and roll.
Let's talk about the spread. OKC is 6.5-point favorite tonight. I'm sure by now people know how much OKC has struggled on the road this postseason against the number. Henry, do you think this is a fair line? Do you see value on Indiana? What are your thoughts on the spread tonight?
It's a pretty fair line for me, not one I'm going to play. Again, given the Halliburton uncertainty, if he really is crazy limited or can't go, I think it's going to be a tough uphill battle for Indiana. I think if anything, I lean towards the under in this game because if Halliburton is out there but is not feeling 100%, can Indiana get the pace going quite as much? There's, I think, a limit on the number of minutes TJ McConnell can play. So can they ramp that up enough? Yes, they're at home, but I could see a situation here where they struggle to get the pace going. And then I thought defensively, Indiana just made a ton of sloppy plays in the last game that they, with elimination at play here, can clean up and hopefully hold OKC to a little bit of a lower number.
We're talking with Henry Ettinger here on Send It In. Make sure you guys are following Henry on X at hedging_Henry. You mentioned the total, lowest of the series so far at 221.5. Looking at the futures market, Henry, we obviously only have 2 games left, but finals MVP, SGA was the massive favorite coming in. He is still the massive favorite to win that award at minus 650. With the game that Jalen Williams just had, though, having 40 points, if he has another epic performance tonight, do you think there's value on him? For people out there that like Indiana, is Siakam worth a look? Maybe Halliburton now with kind of the way that things are going for him, if he battles through this injury and plays unbelievable the next 2 games, do you see anything worth betting in Finals MVP to try and beat SGA?
On the Thunder side of things, I don't really think Jalen Williams can catch him. I know that's not the fun way to go, but ultimately I think SGA is going to win it just because of the Game 4 performance down the stretch. His numbers overall in the series have just been incredible. Even when it feels like he's having bad games, somehow he's still scoring 30 points. So I think it's going to be tough for voters to just get over the pure numbers aspect of it on that side of things. If you like Indiana to come back in the series, you probably just will have better odds betting Pascal Siakam to win MVP, because at this point I can't see Tyrese Halliburton going 2 massive games in a row here with this calf issue that he's had. Siakam's taken on a bigger role as a playmaker as well in the last few games, which could increase some of his other stats. He's been a solid rebounder this whole series. So I personally don't think Indiana's coming back. I don't really see any value in going that direction. But if you are an Indiana believer, Pascal Siakam might be the way to go there.
I like it. Do you think we're headed for a Game 7, Henry, or you think OKC finishes the job tonight?
I don't think we're headed for a Game 7. I do think they're going to finish them off tonight. I just don't see the answers from Indiana's side of things really defensively for SGA and Jalen Williams at this point. It seems like it's run its course there. So unless Carlisle has a crazy adjustment for us that OKC's maybe not ready for, I'm just worried that if this game is close, despite Indiana's success in close games throughout these playoffs, that OKC really has the go-to offensive punch here, where with Halliburton limited, I don't see that out of Indiana.
All right, there you go. Henry liking the Thunder to take care of business tonight in Game 6. Henry, before we let you go, we know you're a handicap in baseball as well. Any pitching props that you like on today's slate?
A few, BJ. 2 I'll call out. Spencer Strider under strikeouts. I got 7.5 minus 155. I think even at 6.5, if you get number going plus 125 or something like that, that would be worth a look. The Mets have just been very difficult to strike out this year. He's coming off a massive strikeout game versus the Rockies, but hasn't coming off the injury had quite the same strikeout numbers and underlying indicators so far this season. So that's one I definitely like to lean into. And then an over I like would be Logan Webb over 5.5 strikeouts versus the Guardians. This Guardians offense was due for regression, and it's fallen off a cliff. They're one of the worst strikeout teams over the last month or so. You look up and down the lineup, they've got a couple guys at the top that are really difficult to strike out, and then everybody else is really a target there. So I like Logan Webb to go over versus the Guardians tonight.
All right, love it. There you go. Henry Ettinger, always great having him on. Again, make sure you guys are following him on X at hedging_Henry. You can check him out on X, on TikTok, and on Instagram as well. Henry, enjoy Game 6, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, BJ.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, let's keep it rolling here on Send It In. Remember, send in any questions, any comments that you guys have for us today. It can be in Game 6. It can be in the Travelers Championship. Might get into a little college football later on in the show. Certainly got a full baseball slate today as well, so let us know if you guys are if you're on anything on this Thursday. Let's talk about Game 6, though, and dive in to tonight's matchup between OKC and Indiana. Thunder are 6.5-point favorite. The total is 221.5. Obviously, the major storyline, like I was just talking about with Henry, Tyrese Halliburton. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? There are some conflicting reports. If I had to assume what's going to happen, I would think Halliburton's going to be out there. It's Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Your team's on the brink of elimination. Unless he physically can't walk, I'm thinking Halliburton is going to try and give it a go, and he's going to try and play for his team tonight. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, we'll see. Obviously, McConnell was awesome in Game 5, and down the stretch, you wondered if they were almost better off just riding with TJ instead of Halliburton, even though we've obviously seen how great Halliburton has been down the stretch the entire postseason. But that'll be something certainly to watch if Halliburton does play. How many minutes? How effective is he? What are Carlisle's rotations like? But I do like Indiana tonight, plus 6.5, whether or not Halliburton does play. If you want to wait to see the status of Halliburton, I really don't think the line's going to move all that much. I think if he plays, this maybe drops down to 6. I think if he doesn't, it maybe goes up to 7. I think they're putting the 6.5 right there, and then they're waiting to see what happens with Halliburton. So I'll take the 6.5 with Indiana. I would look at some money line as well, as Sean's now telling me the line dropped down to 5.5. So there you go. Maybe even more inclination that Halliburton could be good to go tonight. I still like the 5.5. Obviously like the 6.5 better, getting over the 2 possessions. But how many times have we talked about it on this show? The entire last week and a half with these two teams. OKC especially, such a different team at home in the postseason than they are on the road. They really should have lost both games on the road in Indiana. They've only covered one spread on the road so far here in the NBA playoffs. A young team like this that is experiencing their first NBA finals, that is experiencing their first playoff run with a lot of success, it makes a lot of sense why they have struggled away from home, especially when they have one of the best home crowd advantages in all of the NBA. So I'm riding with Indiana tonight. At the beginning of the series, I told you guys after game 1, I grabbed the Thunder -1.5 on the series spread at -110. So maybe hedging a little bit of that as well by grabbing Indiana plus the points, because if OKC wins by 3-4 tonight, we cash both of those bets, would be awesome. But I certainly think Indiana is live in this game. So we will see what happens. Shams right now is saying that he's fully intending to be out there tonight. He's going to gut it out as expected, right? Game 6 of the finals. So no surprise there. I am a little bit surprised, though, that the sportsbooks have dropped to 5.5. I thought it maybe only go to 6. So see if you can still grab some 6.5s out there. Some player props that I would look at tonight. Jalen Williams, we're going under 24.5 points for him. Really easy, just kind of a sell high spot on J-Dub, right? 40 piece in game 5. Going on the road, SGA in a closeout game, you would figure would be the guy taking a majority of the shots. Indiana's game plan maybe a little different with the way that Jalen Williams torched them in game 5. I'm going to go under 24.5 points for Jalen Williams. I am going to take Tyrese Halliburton over 13.5 points just because I can already tell you guys right now, 30 minutes before tip-off, when our guy John Ewing at BetMGM tweets out the most bet props at BetMGM, you know Tyrese Halliburton under 13.5 points is going to be the number one play. Everybody's going to fade him because of how he played in Game 5, because he's injured. But adrenaline's a powerful thing. He was really good in the 2 games at home so far this series. And, you know, Halliburton's not going down without a fight, right? Season on the line. Your chance to win a championship is on the line. You're getting a nice number at 13.5, which is probably a little bit lower than what it should be. So I would look at that over. And then Aaron Wiggins, I'm going to take 2 bets with him. Under a half a three-pointer and under 5.5 points as well. Our guy Chase Kitty, who was on yesterday, talked about this, and I totally agree with them. OKC, their role players, their bench guys, have been way different on the road than they have been at home. So I would look to fade Wiggins tonight on the road. Case and Wallace could be another fade. Bet Aaron Wiggins under 5.5 points at even money and take under a half a three-pointer at -115, plus 105 as well. So that's what I'm looking at tonight in the NBA Finals.